Well, welcome to the next video. This is a little off the subject of what I've been doing. Fretwork projects. This is really offbeat from that, but it's still a scroll saw project. At least I made it into a scroll saw project. This one's been in the works for a long time. I've had the files on my computer for at least a year, some of them longer than that. I just hadn't taken the time to get in there and sort them out to make a video, but I'm going to try to do that today and get it up. What it is, my neighbor is of Norwegian descent. I've known him for 15 years, and he bought a replica Viking sword from a company up in Wisconsin. They go to museums and digitize the swords and make replicas, and they make the swords for the movies like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and such as that. And they also make scabbards, but they were very expensive. The sword was very expensive, and it took them 2 or 3 years to get it. You got into COVID and things, manufacturing got to be hard to do. You couldn't get people to work. And he had already given them a bunch of money, and he finally managed to get the sword from them. So he brought it straight to me and wanted me to build a scabbard for it. I'd never done anything like that before. Really an ambitious project to me for something I'd never done. So what I have here is I made a pattern out of the blade of the sword. I got the dimensions on it in various places, and I use that as a pattern to make sure I got the internal dimensions correct for the sword to fit into the scabbard. And you'll see in the video how I'll try to show how I'll use this to trace on it and cut these pieces out and glue them together. I had to hollow them out. I started out with a chisel. I show a chisel in the video, but in the final scabbard I used a router, a little hand router, to router the inside, because I was trying to make it match the profile of the blade as far as the thickness, how it tapers out to thinness out on the end, but we ended up with a liner in it. I had to have a little more room than I was getting with the chisel. Anyway, I'll try to compile the files to make a timeline to see how I made this, and you'll see things in the process that didn't end up on the final scabbard. I went through a lot of different versions of things. This is the second practice scabbard I made. I used it to test the paint that he wanted to use on it. That was the final coat, I think, what we used as a color on the final scabbard. And we changed what the top was going to be like 2 or 3 times. So you'll see things that didn't end up on the final version. Now, hopefully I can make a video out of it that makes sense. Like I say, I've had these files for a while. I just hadn't got in there and organized them because I'm almost always working on another video. So stay tuned. It'll be a long video. I hope you can sit through it and learn something, or maybe see how I messed up, because I did a lot of things wrong on the way. Didn't end up with a perfect version, but he was happy with it. I don't know that I ever do it again, but I'll know a little more about it next time if I do. It's a very interesting project. It kind of challenged me, and I did enjoy it because I like to stretch my limits, so to speak. So stay tuned, and hopefully I can make a video that's worth watching. So what I've done is I've made a representation of the blade. This is a piece of 1/4 inch poplar. It's cut to the dimensions, the length and the width of the blade, and I have marked on it where the fuller is, the center line, and then there's 2 grooves on each side of the fuller, and I've marked those 2 lines as they taper and come all the way down. Not only do they taper, they get deeper going this way and more shallow going towards the end, because it all tapers down. So what I'm going to do here, this is an exact replica of the blade. I've done this once to practice, and I'm going to do this again, except I'm going to allow this time for a liner inside. I'm going to put a flax liner inside it. So right now I'm going to mark this with a pencil. I'm going to draw me a line. That's going to be the inside of the scabbard where the blade's going to rest. And then I'm going to take a washer and draw a 1/8 mark all the way around, and that's where I'm going to cut this piece out. And when it gets cut out, it'll be cut to the width of the scabbard, course I will sand it down and smooth it some with the inner line marked, and then I'll mark the inner line with a chisel, make me a hard line there so that I can clean the inside out. First, I'm going to run a router down these 2 lines. I have a jig that fits that, and the lines are drawn to, I can put the jig over, and I can taper the jig up so it cuts shallower on this end than that end. The router will, which is a 1/4 inch bit, and I'm going to run it right centered on those 2 lines all the way down, and use those as a depth gauge as I'm cutting with the chisel or whatever I use. I did a chisel last time. So let me get these lines drawn, and then we'll see about cutting it out. Now, I was successful cutting it on a scroll saw, even though it's longer than my saw. And I'm going to do a video on the difference in the blades that allows me to do that. But right now, let me get this drawing done, and then we'll see about starting to cut it. Well, this is the practice one that I cut. Sword fits in it very nicely. I never finished the end of it because he's going to get an end piece that goes on here. Plus he's got a piece ordered that's going to go in the top and the throat of it. This hadn't been tapered down as much as I was going to until I got what was going to fit on it. But was my practiced scabbard, and I'm really pleased with the way it came out. I hope I can do better on the second one. I've got some, this is 1/2 inch. I got some 3/8 material, should be here this afternoon, and I may try one out of each size, see which he likes the best and which turns out the best. Having to slide it around so the end will go past my workbench. As you can see, it just clears the back of my saw, but I am able to cut this more than 2 foot piece here. Just want to do this quick little video to show you a project I've been working on for about 6 months now. This is a scabbard. It's made for a Viking sword. My neighbor is of Norwegian descent. He had a replica sword made, digitized from a museum piece. Took him a long time to get it, and he asked me to make a scabbard for it. Originally he was going to cover it with leather, and he said, well, that was too tedious, we'll try something different. So I started watching some videos, doing some studying, and this is what my final product here. This is the third. I did 2 practice scabbards. This is the third one, the final one, we hope. It was a lot of delays because of parts. We had trouble finding this set, and then when it came in, it didn't fit his sword. It was too small. Hang on, and I'll show you the practice sword, the practice scabbard that I tried to fit that on. So this was the very first scabbard that I made. It's been painted. We just tested the paint colors on it. I just put this together to learn the basics of forming, putting the 2 halves together, cutting them, and this one I cleaned out with I made the hollowed out part with a chisel actually. The others I used a router, but that's where I fit that piece on, and you see its sword just barely fit through it, and so it went into the area that the sword would fit. So I just cut it in half and incorporated it into the top here. And this is totally different from what most people do with as far as the belt loop. Just trying to experiment with something a little different. I added these little lines. I found this design. He likes the wolf face. I had a much fancier one. He liked it a little more rustic looking, so this is built to suit him, not me. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to show that real quick. That's been 6 months in the making. It's taken a lot of time away from doing YouTube videos, and sometimes I had to kind of rush through a video and late in the week because I'd be spending some time on this. But it's all, he chose the colors and everything, and then I just kind of put it together. It's been a very slow process. It's been kind of discouraging at times, but we finally got it done, and I haven't even told him it's ready yet. I'm just wanting to make this a little bit of a video to show it. So it's got a liner in it. It's lined with wool, and he has possession of the second one, which is kind of in between these two, and it's got a liner. This one does not have a liner. I didn't have the lining material. I was just trying to learn how to put it together and shape it at that point. And I like the way it came out as far as shape. It's a little thinner than this one because we got this added to it. This would have had something on it for a belt loop anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show that a little bit. I learned how to cold cast. That's bronze with epoxy resin. That's a bronze powder mixed with epoxy resin. I cut that out on a scroll saw, a pattern I found. And the rest of this I just put together piece by piece. This is walnut. This piece right here is walnut, but the main body is poplar. And I think I'm not even sure what it is. It's just some scrap I had in there put together. All I did was stain it real lightly with a pecan stain, and he liked that. And I had some others that were painted the same color as this with that wolf face in it. In fact, I got several versions of that. That one's got a different powder in it. That one also. That one doesn't have any. There's a real nice one somewhere that I really like. That one's actually got solder in it. That's the same bronze. You can't hardly see it. Same thing there. There was another one that came out much prettier than those, and I'm not sure where it is right this minute. And I gave him the option of those two, and he wanted this one because he likes things to look used and worn a little bit, and that fit the bill a little better. So anyway, I'm doing this little video so I can pass it on to him. He can take possession of it. Wait a minute, here's the other wolf face. That's the same material that I used there, just that I did it in such a way that it didn't rise to the surface, and you had to sand it down. When you sand it down, it dulls it like that. And I made this one, and he said, well, that looks like it's something you bought. So I took that as a compliment, but he didn't want it to look so new and shiny. So this is the final version. Well, I hope it is. If it's not, I may have to make another one. I may come up with another idea. But anyway, that's the Viking sword scabbard that I built for my neighbor. So I'll probably, this kind of a little bonus video, just show you what I've been doing for the past 6 months in the background of this YouTube channel. So I kind of hope you enjoy that. And I'll have a new video up pretty soon. In fact, I got 2 more I'm going to put up for the end of this week probably. So thanks for watching. And if you like it, hit the like button. And got any comments about this sword construction, please post them down there and we'll talk about it. So thanks for watching.